Hi everyone, welcome to learning ASP.NET Core. This is Madan. Today's demo is about how we can use refresh token in token-based authentication in our ASP.NET Core. So what is refresh token and why we need this? So as you can see in the diagram, we have a client and the server. So whenever we need a token, authentication token from the server in token-based authentication, the client needs to send user credentials such as username and password. Server process them and then sends the token to the client. And as you all know that the token has expiry time and it's gonna expire after a certain time, maybe after 1 hour, 2 hour, or 1 day. And then whenever the token expires, the client again needs to send the username and password to get the new token. So this is kind of tedious and user need to log in again and again whenever the token expires. So the alternative solution is to use the refresh token. So how it works with the refresh token: whenever the client needs a new token or the authentication token for the first time, they send their credential, username and password to the server, and the server returns the token, the auth token and the refresh token to the client. The client stores both token and the refresh token somewhere, and then whenever the token expires from the server, then the client can send the refresh token that they got from their from the login session before. So they can send the token and the refresh token and the expired token to the server, and based on the refresh token and the expired token provided by the client, the server processes them, validates them, and then generates the new token and sends that to the client along with the new refresh token. So for the next time, whenever the client needs to generate the token or whenever the token expires, then the client can send that expired token and the new refresh token. So this process continues. In this way, the user doesn't need to send their credential, username and password each time their token expires on the server. So this is about a refresh token, and we are going to work on the demo that we created in our previous demo about the Jwt authentication token. So if you have not gone through that video, then I highly recommend you to go through that. So let's start here. So this is the last demo project that I created, and in the login controller there are no any changes here. So I have added a few models here in the model folder here. As you can see, the Jwt token model, and it is a simple model. It can hold token and the refresh token, and we are going to make use of this model later on. After then this model was created in the previous demo, and I have created another model here, user refresh token, and this model can store username and the refresh token. And I have created a repository here. I use a refresh token repository and the user refresh token repository. So this repository has two methods here. It has a method to save or update the user refresh token, and the parameter that is coming is our user refresh token model, and it has the another model to check if the refresh token that is coming from the client is valid or not. And let's go to the implementation of this repository on the user refresh token repository. And in this demo I'm not using the database, so I have created a dictionary of refresh token string. So this dictionary can store the username and the refresh token here, and I have initialized the dictionary here. It has two methods: check if refresh token is valid. In this refresh token store, whenever we generate the new refresh token, we are going to store that refresh token along with the associated username, and whenever the refresh token comes from the client, then that refresh token coming from the client is validated against the refresh token stored in this refresh token store. So what it does is it uses the try get value method of the dictionary, and we pass the key as the username and we get the refresh token. And if our refresh token that is coming from the client matches with this refresh token that was previously stored in the refresh token, so if both matches, then we return true, otherwise we return false. So this method just checks whether the refresh token associated with the client associated with the user is same as the one that is sent by the client to request the new token. The other method is here save or update refresh token. So this method saves the refresh token. Whenever we generate the refresh token, we save the refresh token into our refresh token store, and this method does that. So we have an incoming user refresh token, and we check if that refresh token is already if that refresh token and the username key already exist in the dictionary or not. So if that already exists, then we just replace the refresh token with the new refresh token. And if no data has been added into the dictionary, or if that key username doesn't exist in the dictionary, then we are going to add the new key value pair to the dictionary. So if you are using the database, then you just need to inject the application db context and save those data into the database directly. And the other thing is, here in the startup, I have added a service, singleton service of user refresh repository and user refresh token repository, so that we can inject this user refresh token repository into our controller constructor and use them to check and store the refresh token. So another thing is, here I have added a refresh token generator class, and it has two methods: generate refresh token with the size parameter, and the refresh token is just the string here. So what we can do is we can just use the Jwt here, Jwt dot new Jwt, and then we can do to string here. So this is just a simple Jwt string for the refresh token, and we can also create a complex refresh token here. So you can choose either one of them to use, but the Jwt method is very simple, and we can, the preferred way is to generate the refresh token that I am going to show here. So what we can do is variable refresh token equal to new byte. We can pass the size here, and then we can use variable random number generator equal to random number generator, and this is available in system.security.cryptography. We can create a create method of that random number generator. Now what we can do is we can do rng.getBytes and pass those generated bytes into the ref token variable that we created here, and then finally we can return the string here. So this is the byte, the ref token is the bytes, and we need to convert them into string. So what we can do is convert that to base 64 string and then pass the refresh token. So this will generate the refresh token. So now we can use this method or this method, but both generates the random string. So this is it for the refresh token generator. Now let's go over to the login controller, and now previously we were just generating the token whenever the user passed the credential into this login method. We use them and generate the Jwt token, but now we need to generate the refresh token, and we need to send both of them to the client. So let's do that. So what we can do is we can do, and after we have a model here Jwt token, and we are going to store both token and refresh token into this Jwt token model. So in the login controller, let's say variable auth token or variable Jwt token equal to now new Jwt token, and let's do refresh token equal to, now we can use this refresh token generator class, new refresh token generator dot generate refresh token, and let's use the second method by passing the size of 32. And another thing is, for the Jwt token model we need a token itself, and token equal to, we have new Jwt security token handler dot write token, and then we can pass our token here. Now we need to return our Jwt token model, Jwt token, and now we can change the return type to Jwt token. Now we need to make changes here. So in the login method action result, we have we have generated the token here. So this token, now let's rename this to Jwt token, and then let's pass this Jwt token to the client. Now let's see if we have successfully generated the Jwt token and refresh token or not. So our server is up and running, and let's check. So we are going to make the post request to our API login to this URL, and we are going to pass the username and password here. So our login URL is our login controller, and then API/login controller /login route. So API/login controller login route, and in the headers we have a content type, and in the body we need to pass username and password. And let's send this, and it seems okay. And here, as you can see, we have got the token and the refresh token. So this refresh token here is a complex string here, and if we use the other one, and that is the refresh token that is generated using the Jwt one. So if you use this method, then this refresh token appears more simple than this. So we have successfully generated the refresh token and passed them to the client. Now the next step is, whenever the client sends that refresh token to the server, we need to validate that refresh token and then generate the new Jwt token based on that refresh token. Now other thing is, whenever we generate the new refresh token, we need to store that refresh token to the user to whom it was generated. So we need to inject our repository here, and our repository is iUser refresh token repository. iUser refresh token repository, and let's create a field for that. Create an initialize field. Now we have generated the refresh token here. We are about to send that refresh token to the client. So what I'm gonna do is user refresh token repository dot save or update user refresh token. Now we can pass the user refresh token object here, new user refresh token object, and what it needs is refresh token and the username. So our refresh token is in the Jwt token model, Jwt token dot refresh token, and then we have a username field on that refresh token model, and the username is in the user. So let's say user dot username. Now every time the new Jwt token is generated and refresh token is generated, the refresh token along with username gets saved into this user refresh token repository, so that when the next time user requests the token by passing that refresh token, we can check that refresh token along with this refresh token stored here and validate them. Now let's create another method here to validate whether the refresh token that is passed from the user is valid or not, and then generate the token and send that to the client after the token expires. So I'm going to make a new route here. Let's say refresh token, and then public action result refresh token. And this method require us to pass the user refresh token. This method require us to pass the user refresh token model. So sorry, not user refresh token, but the Jwt token. So whenever the client wants the new token based on the refresh token, then they need to pass the old token, the expired one, and the refresh token from body, and then Jwt token. So client will be sending these two pieces of information here. Now we check if Jwt token equal to null, then we send bad request to the user, and let's say invalid request. After that, let's get now we need to validate that token that is coming from this model, and in order to validate the JWT token we need a token validation parameter. So, and the token validation parameter is the same that we use here while generating the JWT token. As you can see, it is on the startup.cs file. So we need those validation parameters to validate the token that is coming from the client. So I'm going to copy those here, and then let's jump back to the login controller, and then let's create a method here, private token validation parameter, get token validation parameters, and this will be returning new token validation parameters. And so those are the things that we require, and for this we need to have a configuration, and we have already a configuration injected in our constructor, so we can use this underscore configuration. So let's change this to use the one that is injected onto our controller, and we need a key here, and the key is the one that we generated while generating the JWT token. So we can use the same thing here, and we can generate the new key, security key, and then pass the security key here. So when we compare the token that is coming from the client, the expired token that is coming from the clients, again those token validation parameter, then that token should be validated. So we create a handler here, so variable handler equal to new JWT security token handler, and then we use principal equal to, and this is used to get the user information that those are stored in the JWT token, expired JWT token, and we can use the handler dot, and here handler has a validate token method, and this requires us to pass the token string. Token string is JWT token dot token, the one coming from the client, and we need to pass the validation parameters. So we can pass this get token validation parameters, and then we need to pass the output type of variable, which is security token, which is of type security token. So let's do validated validated token, and then let's create that variable here, security token security validated token equal to validated token. So let's define this, and then we have used that. So if we come so far successfully, then our token is a valid token. The expired token that is coming from the client is the valid one. Now from this principle we can get the information those are stored in our token. So let's get the username equal to principal dot, it has a identity dot name. So if we store the username into the name type claim in our JWT token while generating that, then we should be able to get that name. And if we go to the place where we generate the token, then in the name type we have stored the user ID, so we will be getting the user ID into this username. So let's store username here, username, and it has claim types, has the other properties as well. So let's say email, and you can store those values here. So let's make this change here. Now in the principal.identity.name we should be able to get the username that is stored into our token. Now once we get the username from the token, then we can use that username and check if the refresh token coming into this JWT token is a valid token that was previously stored into our user token storage while logging by passing the user credential. Now from here what we can do is, if we have a user refresh token repository method dot check if refresh token is valid, and this method requires us to pass the username and then refresh token. So refresh token is coming from the JWT token. Username is also coming from the JWT token, but we fetched that by using this principal, and let's pass that refresh token as well. So JWT token dot refresh token. Now this method returns true if the token is a valid, if the refresh token is the valid token, and the logic is in the logic to validate that refresh token is associated with this particular user is returned into this user refresh token repository that we already discussed. And from here what we can do is, if that token is valid, then we can generate the new JWT token. So we can call this method generate JWT token. So let's say token equal to let's say token equal to new, our method is generate JWT token, and then we need to pass the user model here. Now we can, in our user model we don't have much of the things, but if you are using database, then you can directly fetch the user from the database. So in our user model we have a username and password, and for the token we only need username. So let's generate the new user, and we can pass username equal to the current username that we fetched from the token. So this makes our user model, and let's pass the user here. So our token has been generated, and this token variable, let's rename this to JWT token, but we have already used that variable. So new JWT token, and now this has the JWT token and the refresh token. Now once we generate the new refresh token, we need to update our refresh token that is stored in our refresh token store, so that the next time user sends the newly generated refresh token that can be validated against our refresh token stored in user refresh token repository. So let's update that, and for that we have a user refresh token repository dot save or update method. Now we can generate the new model here, new user refresh token, and then we can pass the username as our username, or we have a user.username property as well, and then we have a refresh token that is just generated in our new JWT token. So refresh token equal to new JWT token dot refresh token. Now once we do this, we can return OK, and then we can pass new JWT refresh token to the user. And the things are, if our token could not be validated, or if the refresh token that is stored in our user refresh token repository does not match with the one that is coming from the user, then we are going to return a bad request, and let's say invalid request. So now let's test our application. So it's up and running, and then let's go to the Postman here, and let's click on this. So first time we passed username and password and get the token here. Now let's copy this token here, and in order to get the refresh token we need to call this method from the login controller, API/login/refresh token, and we need to pass the JWT token method. Now from the next time, whenever the token expires, what user can do is user can request this URL API/login/refresh token, and then send the token send the expired token, this one, and the valid refresh token. So let's copy this refresh token, and then let's paste it here. Now if I click on send, then it returned us the new Jwt token along with the new refresh token. So for the first time, user need to provide their credential to log into the application to get the token, but from the next time they can use this refresh token to generate the new token after the token has been expired. So if I change the value of this refresh token, let's say let's delete this, and then let's try to make a request, then we won't be able to get that because the refresh token is not valid in that case. And so let's again try once. Let's copy this token. I think we already have that token, and then let's copy this refresh token, and this is invalid again. So let's copy this, let's log in again. So I'm going to send it. So the everything's are generated new and generated again. So let's copy this token here, copy this token, and let's pass it here, and then now let's pass our newly generated refresh token, So we have generated the new token and the new refresh token. Now we can use this token to access the resource from the server. So we have a API endpoint here, API/employee, and that require us to pass the token. So if I send the newly generated token, then we can get the success status of 200 along with data, and if we change the token value, then we'll get unauthorized. So in this way we can use the refresh token in Jwt token based authentication in ASP.NET Core MVC application or ASP.NET Core web API, and the implementation on the client side may be different, and that may be based on our own requirements. So in future video we'll be talking about how we can use the refresh token and token from our client applications such as Angular or React, and then refresh the token every time the token is expired on the server, and every time the user don't need to send their login credentials. So this is it for now, friend, and if you like this video, then please don't forget to share and subscribe. Thanks for watching and have a great day.